When you think about the world leaders in electric cars, you probably think of places like Norway or maybe China. But what if I told you that one of the most exciting EV stories on the planet is unfolding in Nepal? Seriously, let's dig into how this Himalayan nation is absolutely crushing it.
Okay, just take a look at this number. 76%. That's right, in Nepal, more than 3/4 of all new passenger cars being sold right now are fully electric. I mean, that figure doesn't just beat the global average, it leaves it in the dust. It puts a lot of much wealthier countries to shame, frankly. So, the obvious question is, how? How on earth did a developing country, a place we associate more with Mount Everest than electric motors, pull off this incredible green transportation revolution? Well, it wasn't some happy accident. It was a unique combination of a huge natural advantage, some really smart government policy, and perfect market timing.
All right, so let's break it down. You can think of it like a recipe, really. A three-part recipe that created this perfect electric storm. And it all starts with where the power comes from.
This right here is Nepal's secret weapon. Its greatest asset isn't just its massive mountains, but all the water that flows down through them. Over 90% of the country's electricity comes from hydropower. We're talking about an abundance of clean, green, homegrown energy. So get this, when you plug in an EV in Nepal, you're not charging it with coal. You're literally charging it with power from the Himalayas. How cool is that?
And all that clean, cheap energy translates directly into massive savings for drivers. You see, Nepal has to import every single drop of gasoline, which gets super expensive. The result? It's up to 15 times cheaper to charge an electric car than to fill up a petrol one. That is a game-changing incentive that makes the choice almost a no-brainer.
But the government didn't just stop there. They decided to really, and I mean really, put their thumb on the scale using taxes. They took the import duties on electric vehicles and just slashed them, down to as low as 40%. Meanwhile, the tax on a petrol or diesel car can be as high as 300%. So they didn't just make EVs cheaper to run, they made them way, way cheaper to buy.
So, you have this hungry new market. Who stepped in to feed it? Overwhelmingly, it was Chinese brands. Companies like BYD and Neta swept in with affordable, feature-packed cars that consumers just loved. This flood of high-quality, budget-friendly options was that final critical piece of the puzzle that just ignited the whole boom.
So that's the recipe for success. But what does this revolution actually look like on the roads of Nepal? What are the results on the ground?
Just look at this growth. It is absolutely staggering. In just the last 2 fiscal years, EV imports have skyrocketed by nearly 200%, hitting almost 12,000 units in the last year alone. This isn't slow, gradual change. This is an explosion. It's proof that the government's strategy worked, maybe even beyond their wildest dreams.
Of course, you can't have thousands of new EVs without places to charge them, and the charging network has been racing to catch up. There are now over 400 public charging stations across the country, and critically, this includes 62 fast chargers that were installed by the National Electricity Authority, put in strategic spots along highways to connect the major cities.
And this whole strategy is clearly resonating with people. A recent study found that for Nepali consumers, the big motivators are the cost savings and the government incentives. But here's the really fascinating part. Range anxiety, the fear of running out of power, is actually becoming less of a concern. People are really starting to trust the EV promise.
Okay, but it's not all a perfectly smooth ride. This incredible success story is hitting a few speed bumps. And to get the full picture, we have to look at the challenges that could slow this revolution down.
And the list of challenges is pretty significant. The very policies that created the boom have become a bit unstable with some recent tax hikes. There's a big environmental question mark around what to do with old batteries, with no national recycling plan yet. Charging is still sparse once you get outside the cities, and public transit is way behind. Kathmandu has only 40 electric buses when experts say it needs 800. On top of that, there's a growing debate about whether these incentives are just helping the wealthy. The road ahead is definitely complex.
And there's a big technical challenge too. The national power grid, even with all its clean energy, wasn't built to handle the massive, sudden power draws from thousands of fast chargers all plugging in. Without some smart upgrades, all that demand could really strain local transformers and maybe even cause some instability. But despite these roadblocks, Nepal isn't backing down. Not at all. In fact, the country has set some incredibly ambitious goals for its electric future.
Just take a look at their official roadmap. The goal for 2025 was to have 25% of private vehicles be electric, a target they've already completely blown past. By 2030, they're aiming for 90% of private cars to be electric. This isn't just a trend, it's a national mission. And here's why this national mission is so important. It's about so much more than just cars. This whole strategy is designed to solve two of the country's biggest problems. First, the crippling air pollution in cities like Kathmandu, and second, a massive trade deficit from spending over $1.5 billion a year importing fossil fuels. Every EV sold is a step towards solving both.
So we're left with this. Nepal has provided a stunning blueprint, proving that a green revolution doesn't require immense national wealth. The formula works. The question now is whether the country can navigate the serious challenges of infrastructure, policy, and fairness to cross that finish line. If it can, this small Himalayan nation might just show the rest of the world how the future is done.